Hello, Balaji. Hello, everyone. Welcome to one more 1 Million Minds episode. We have an action packed episode, so I can't wait to get started. But before we get into it, how are you, Balaji? How are things in your side of the world?
Absolutely, Rajni. I wish the weather can make up its mind. Last week it was cold, little bit rain. Now it's like 85 degrees here. I mean, the swings are crazy. I hope it makes up its mind. But that's all I can wish for. So happy to be here.
Yeah, Texas is definitely not in the hundreds, so I'm happy about it. So we definitely are moving in the right direction. My wife is not happy about it, but I'm happy that it's getting cooler. So we're getting some rain, so that's good. But I know there's a lot of on a daily basis, a lot of cool news. So we can get started with some of the topics we wanted to talk about today. Um,
Absolutely. Let
I
me bring
think
that
the
up.
first one we wanted to talk about was the Amazon, the AWS launched Amazon Bedrock, right? So what does that mean? We talked about this a few episodes ago where we say, hey, bring your own model, bring your own data. People are going to start offering these services like a fully managed AI service. So what it does is helps mainstream adoption of this, right? So you and I know how to set some LLM up and maybe even set up an API to be able to work with different ones. But there's always like new models coming up on a almost like a weekly basis. So if you have a platform, a managed AI service where you can access some of these newer models and and use that for building applications on top, just feels like a no-brainer that's going to happen. So I know Amazon launched it a fully managed AI service. We're going to look at it a little bit. But what it means is now you can easily experiment with leading AI models like Claude or Llama 2 to a single API. I know Amazon is also offering their own homegrown models, autocomplete using code, and a BI platform. So these are some of the ones that Amazon is offering. They basically are trying to make AWS a one-stop shop for AI. Is also competing with Microsoft is offering open AI and Azure, but it's also very expensive, right? So the competitive landscape is changing. I feel like it's great for entrepreneurs like you and me, but just wanted to bring the audience attention to now you don't have to worry as much about setting things up as much as solving a business problem. So that becomes exciting. So what do you think about those?
Absolutely, Rajni. I think slowly we are making progress where the tech giants, Amazon, whether it's Google, Amazon, or Microsoft, they're offering this as product as part of their product suite, right? I think I took notice of it when I saw the news that Amazon invested about 4 billion in Anthropic, right? And my wish was that Anthropic had an API so I can use it. And lo and behold, now Amazon Bedrock has this access to Anthropic Cloud version 2 through their Bedrock platform, and I can use the API, right? So this is, again, to me personally, it was exciting because that's one of the only few models that has 100K context length, so you can actually provide a lot of tokens for analysis. So I got excited. So, anyways, I'll share my screen to show. I immediately, like I said, I went and set up my own test account. I was trying to
Of
see
course.
what other what other models are there. Essentially,
Yeah.
essentially that's where my mind went. Okay, so let's bring this up here. So these are okay, the model access, right? So again, when you sign up, none of these models are allowed to be used, right? So you have to actually go specifically request access for all of this. So I went ahead, requested access for all of these. Again, obviously they want to know what your company is or what is your use case. You provide some basic information, and it was not an overly complex process to get access granted. As part of this, you're agreeing to the pricing plan for each one of these. um, I think they're token based or per use based pricing. Each one differs. You can check the AWS marketplace. Um, but they are targeting three things like everybody else, right? The chat, which actually has access to these three models. And then you have text, which all these are available. And then image, there's only one available, Stability AI with the Stable Diffusion XL. And it seems to it seems to do a decent job, and all of this is available to the API, right? So that's the exciting part. So you can start building things in your own AWS account. Um, so that's what got me excited, and it seems like it's there. And if you are adventurous, now you can create your own custom models, fine tuning. It opens up a lot of opportunities to create those workflows into your um, into your application. So that's basically what I found.
It's, I mean, again, thank you for showing the audience the how easy it is to, now you don't have to be an expert to start using some of these models, right? Like it's all in one sandbox that you can go play around and get your use cases done. I like that the fine tuning model is also available there. So I just feel like I still think we're very early in this process, right? We are in the early adopters and maybe just past that. The mainstream has not caught on to it because you and I deal with a lot of the early adopters in the space. It feels like everybody's using it, but platforms like this is going to help more people get on board and create methods for their own use, for their smaller companies, or create bigger products for enterprises. This is just the beginning. So if you are an entrepreneur, it's time to be excited is now. And if you're looking for a good way to spend your weekend, this is how you do it. So it's a great way to
Yeah,
get your
even more than anything,
way.
Rajni, I think this is a very good starting
Yeah,
point because AWS is of all things, they are marketplace, right? So now if you have a specific
correct.
model, now you can list it for a price and it shows up in Bedrock and it's available to the entire AWS customer base, right? And that's a
Audience.
great thing. So it's a great thing. And we talk about a lot of things like how to daisy chain one model to another. All of these are going to be reality now, right? More and more models get ingested into this at a price. Now you can mix and match, and you can create your own cost
Yeah.
structure.
I think where the smaller models, and I know our main thesis is that we are going to go into a world of where agent model talk to each other. You'll have your own agent. You'll go have another agent. Let's say you go want to travel to Hawaii. You'll talk to an Hawaii agent, and they'll give you all the information. So a lot of these specialized agents are going to come into play, and a platform like this makes it easy for anybody to create their own agents to be able to have other people tap into it too. So this is just the beginning. So I'm very excited. Again, we could talk about this for an hour. So I'm gonna move on to our next topic, which is
Yeah.
just more a conceptual topic that makes me excited. What kind of devices is going to come out of this? But really, Sam Altman, everybody knows it, or everybody should, is a co-founder of AI, and Johnny Ivy is a designer of the iPhone. They are partnering to create they actually, first of all, they're raising $1 billion. They're trying to raise $1 billion from SoftBank to create the iPhone of artificial intelligence. So what does that mean? So I know these guys are super smart and they can create it, but I was listening about this. I think it was all in bit, one of those shows, and that's when there was a specific like the interface we're used to right now is a device. You unlock, you swipe, you select an app, and it does a certain thing for you. But going forward, if you had to like rethink the whole thing, right? Because the LLMs could be the operating system of your device, where however it is a headset, a phone, it could be a gesture-based. The options are endless, right? How what is going to be the AI device? But if you kind of throw everything away, where we are used to app-based ecosystem, we throw all that away, and it's the LLM is your operating system and in stream, just like what you showed in stream, we can actually request a certain, lack of a better word, application. You want to know the weather, whatever it is, you just interact with it at a kernel level rather than the traditional app and everybody. So I think that's where it's headed. So it's exciting just to be able to think. I don't know if this is going to become a reality, but if it is, that's where I think it's going. So it's interesting for me to think through that whole process. How does it change how we interact with LLMs or agents? And is a phone a physical device where you swipe the best option or other options come into play? So I'm just curious. Do you have any thoughts on how where you think this is going?
Yeah, one of the thoughts that is floating around is the LLMs are becoming the operating system of the new generation of whatever you're building, right? I think in a sense you can think of, yeah, if it's kind of creating the same building blocks like the Windows or Google Chrome, whatever OS that's currently there, but in a different sense, right? So I think one of the things I'm still not getting is like the reference to a phone. Maybe it's for communication, it needs internet connection. But I see this or I visualize this as an entirely new paradigm, right? It's not going to do the same thing the other operating system did in a traditional sense. So, what are those building blocks, right, in an operating system that this is going to? So, hopefully, when some of this information comes out, I think that's when the momentum catches on, right? What are these building blocks of these operating systems? Because currently we are playing with very generic stuff, right? We are not going into these
Yes.
individual blocks or specializations and things like that. So I'm eager to see. And the other thought I have is what's preventing the phone company like Apple inserting more AI chips into their phones and competing in the same space with the smaller models, right? So it's going to be very interesting, right? So is it a phone company with a bunch of LLMs, or is it one of the things is like this mobile first development came along, right? It's similar, like maybe there's a LLM or AI first thing that's going to come up out of this. We'll see. It's going to be interesting how this goes.
Yeah, one thing that hard to change is people's behavior. Took us a long time to get to where we are with the phone. Whatever happens, early adopters will jump on it. But to your point, I don't think it's going to be okay. We can now lose all of our mobile phones and go to a new device. If it happens, it might happen over a decade. But it feels like very early on that one too. But even if it doesn't work right, it will give you so many to your to your point. The paradigm could there'll be some version of it that's very good that could be adopted by existing players, right? So it will be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Chat GPT vision. I think it was called the. It just came out a couple of weeks ago, and this one I've been looking at some use cases. I know you have some to show for us, but really now it can ChatGPT can take in an image and be able to, I think, visually and analyze it, for lack of a better word, analyze it and interact with you and tell you what you're looking at. So that's the layman's version of what that does, and it has so many um, actual use cases. That's what's exciting to me is because imagine being able to send a picture of we had a bunch of hail here a week ago, a picture of your car to your insurance and say, hey, there's hail damage. Without the person coming to your house, they can assess the damage and send you a check or ask you to take it to a person to do it. So, and then I know their cameras they'll look at it in the manufacturing alignment where the holes are not poked right before the circuit board is done, and this has to be a small, minute change. I know people do it, the device and do it, but something like that with vision, a lot of these use cases become reality. So I'm excited about it. I know, Balaji, you've been playing with it. Tell us more.
Oh, 100%. I think with the most recent release, okay, let me bring that up here. So ChatGPT can now look into images, right? What does this mean? The computer vision has been making a lot of progress over the years, right? I think the art of looking into image and identifying what's in it, what are the individual components, breaking it down to objects or pieces of information is the field of computer vision. Now, what this has done is taken that and merged it with the capabilities of LLM. That creates this unique situation where now you can talk to this image, right? So previously it's the academics and there's a few programmers and other things, but now it's become much more fun to analyze. So again, like you said, we threw what are the possible use cases, right? can it look at an X-ray and tell what's wrong, right? I just threw an image of again, I found this on the web, a person who got affected by COVID, which is again a lot of these images float around, see what's wrong here, right? And essentially, it does look at it. So basically, it does a disclaimer, which is good. I didn't expect that, but that's good. That there should be disclaimers, given that people look at this and take this and run with this concept of ChatGPT knows everything, right? So, but then it identifies certain few whatever key areas, right? It's there's this person probably on mechanical ventilation. There are some cables here. These are information that it's able to already pick from this image, which is impressive. Even though it's not going to be able making a diagnosis because you need a doctor to make all those things. So that's the first part. What do you think?
I noticed a little bit of those lines, but I don't know what it was. But once I read it, I understood those are like the tubes that are going into the
catheters or
central,
the ventilation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great start, right? To be able to just give it an image and be able to interact. I do like the disclaimers, but it is more detailed than I thought it will. Just looking at the image. Like,
yeah, I mean, it narrowed it into fluid in the lungs, right? Infection, fluid, and lung pathologies, right? That's a broad stroke, but still, it's able to locate that kind of information.
Just from an X-ray, that's pretty cool.
All right, the next one is much more clearer. Just through a broken
graphic,
a broken arm here, right? X-ray of a wrist and a forearm. Now this is much more crisp information that it's giving you, right? There are two bones and this bone is broken. Again, disclaimer. But I thought that's good.
Cool though. Oh, that's a small image.
That's yeah. The next one is go to the tiny, right? With little fuzziness in there, so see whether you can even figure anything out.
So you want to get different quality images. Okay,
correct, because when you go to real life, there are a variety of image capture devices out there, right? Security cameras or like small tiny cameras, all kind of stuff. So the quality of the image is not always great. So I thought I'll provide something with some, for a human, when you look at it, you can see a vegetation, you can see some kind of a what do you call a frog or thing in there, right? Lizard or frog, you don't know. But that's human vision, right? At least you can discern that. I wanted to see what ChatGPT thinks, right? And it was a surprise as well. So it insect or small amphibian on a green. So it did get that. So that's good. So then I gave it a clue, re-examine if it for amphibian, then it came up with maybe it's a frog, tree frog kind of analysis, right? So I thought that was good as well. Nothing totally out of line here.
That is cool.
So the next sample I had was my concern again from handling security, right? The people take photos. Photos have a lot of information that we don't know, like which camera shot it, what is the ISO speed or shutter speed and exposure, all kind of stuff. And included in that, the geolocation, all kind of stuff. So I took a photo with some EXIF information, which carries the metadata, and wanted to see whether ChatGPT can learn from EXIF metadata. Okay. And I was pleased that
just all the information about the place was taken, the date, the timestamp, and possibly if you had location on, will tell you exactly where you were, right? Those are the
especially things with phone, right? With the GPS nowadays, phones have this capability. Every photo you take, it geotags it. It knows where you took it, and stuff. And even otherwise, in a traditional SLR, they started adding more metadata, like what camera shot it, what is the exposure, what's the lens, all kind of stuff, right? So the good thing is, I cannot directly extract. So this is a good thing, right? So they put a limitation in there. They are not extracting this information. They could, but they didn't. That was the test to see whether, but purely looking at the image without metadata, it's able to still find out the landmark, which is also pretty good, right? So obviously it's in the metadata, but essentially it says, I didn't look into it, so I'm good there. So the last one, The last one is a fun exercise. I'm curious if security cameras can use it, and or any device that is looking at maybe your baby camera, right? And
Mhm.
it has this feature where it's looking at your kid, and it's like, is the kid in danger in any shape? So I had this thought where, hey, can this system figure out whether there's a human present or not? Are they in any kind of danger, right? Can this look at it and tell me? That was the question. So I gave this prompt. Again, mind you, I gave it in different pieces yesterday or day before and came up with decent answer. But this time it refused to answer. So there is variability here. It basically says it's sensitive. I'm not looking into this and I can't help you. Even though
Because you want
I
to
had
know
generic
the age
question,
of the human. Yeah,
right?
got it.
So then I went break it down, right? Is there a human present? Then it's answering yes, right? Does it like look like a human is in danger? And basically it says it's exactly jumping off of a raised surface into the water. It's good, right? And it says can determine because I don't know whether the water is deep, water is not deep. So it depends on a lot of factors.
Anything beneath it, got it. Okay.
So again, along the same path, I gave it a child. This is the AI generated child again. So I just took this photo from the web. How about this photo? And it basically came up with the conclusion does not seem to be in any immediate sign of danger, right? So yeah, there is practical applications. And lastly, your stuff, the accident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I showed this image with the hope that it kind of has a prejudice that any car that rear ends is already at fault, right?
I
Um,
thought.
exactly, because you can see the extent of damage. The front of the car got damaged really bad, so it has to probably have hit the other car from behind at some speed. Um, but the answer is interesting, right? First, it's like I can't figure it's small image, blah blah blah, and then I asked it to describe the accident, right? And it's a car. So now it gets into more detail. It basically says it's a rear end, and then so I think the summary is I think at a very first cut it's not giving you what you're looking for, but if you start conversing with it, probably you're able to extract some more information. That's what I found.
Yeah, it's not jumping to conclusions like us do, right? Like it's actually taking a very
It's not
systemic approach to saying,
as
hey,
assertive as it
yeah,
used to be. I think it's all getting tweaked, right? It's there's disclaimers showing up. There's so it used to be very assertive in the first round. It's like this is what I see. And now it's like, oh, wait, I'm going to be uh, little bit guarded here, which is good. I
good,
mean,
good.
yeah,
It says go talk to a legal counsel, go talk to a local wildlife expert about what amphibian it is. I'll tell you what I think it is, but you still have
exactly.
okay. It's
Those are new.
definitely become
We have been
talking
playing
to
with this for a
lawyers, I
while,
think.
right? I never saw those kind of suggestions come up before. So these are all new things. So
Either I mean, all I know is there is a lawyer agent that is talking to before it gives you answers. Looks like awesome. That was great. Thank you for showing those examples. That kind of drives the point home, right? So let me hand it off to you for ChatDev. That one, what little I saw of that, that is one of the coolest interactions I've seen. So let's talk about that one.
okay, so ChatDev, this one. Okay, let's talk about this. So, what is ChatDev, right? ChatDev is a GitHub project that recently got like 10K stars. So, I started looking into what is this, right? So, what they have built is kind of a virtual organization with a CEO, with a chief product officer, with a chief technology officer, with programmers, code reviewers, and testers,
Mhm.
right? And to fully make whatever product you want on a web, whatever coding job, right? Like you web development or you want to call Python, C, whatever language, right? A development project, right? So application development. It is interesting in one front because someone created these agents. We have in previous episode we have seen Auto GPT with very broad strokes of agents. Right now, this is very specific. Right now, we are talking about a development job. Can you give it a job and let it finish all by itself? Basically, the CEO telling the product officer to go do it and allocate time and all kind of fun stuff, right? It's internally doing it. That's the overall scheme of things, right? I'll share the screen here. So it has the console to display what it is doing, even though some of the print is too small. So I gave it a job essentially to go, let's see what the task here is. So here is a new customer ask. Develop a website that can accept your name and age and validate the age to see if you're older than 18. If yes, show welcome to website. If no, show this website is for 18 years or older. The website should run local from my local host. So that's basically the description. I didn't go very elaborate. Again, this is a quick demo to see whether it can do what it promises to do. And obviously the CEO took that, right, and gave it to delegate stuff to internal team. I think the next one, again, this is going through iterations because it's interacting with OpenAI. It uses OpenAI for all the figuring out, reasoning, and other things, right? I think it gets handed over to product officer next, right? And basically your main responsibility, blah blah blah. So it basically says go complete the task with your team, right? And so then the CTO gets involved, right? So to give the 2 cents of what technology should be used or whatever, right? So that's in the path, right? So it's getting a little bit more elaborate as to
Python and modular, okay.
Right. So its modality is website and programming language is Python. Here are the ideas that I think you can use, and off it goes to the programmer, right?
Just like in real life, nobody else does any work until it gets to the programmer.
So exactly. So nobody does any real work. They just bless it and send it along, and the programmer is now starting to write the main.python, uses Flask for the website serving. Creates this HTML basically to have a name, an age, and simple prompt. If you're, again, I didn't give much detail, so it just came up with you're older than 18, enjoy the website. Sorry, this website is for it. So essentially, it has come up with these allowed, not allowed, and index. There's a welcome, right? There's 3 pages and a Python file that will run the website, right, in a local host. What's interesting is that now it pushes it out to the code reviewer, right? So the next person who gets along in the pipeline is a code reviewer, and the code reviewer agent reviews the code by itself, right? So it gives you the code is missing implementation on the logic, blah blah blah, and to fix this you can modify as follows, right? So typically code reviewer is another expert programmer, so they review and say, hey, this is something wrong here, go fix it. And one thing I found, though, is one of the common things. Again, this project did not fully autonomously complete. The reason being, the Flask here needs a template folder. It did. The code reviewer didn't catch it, like real life, right? Things pass through, and when it comes to tester, everything breaks and it gets sent back. That's what I did. So there's a parameter here which has to be passed for template folder. Without that, the Flask is not serving the index file. Which I thought was funny, right? More times, if anyone has audience has worked with teams, you know that things slip all the way to the QA and then it comes back again. Everything compiles, everything goes fine. It even runs until you hit the go to the page. Everything is not working again. So it's a runtime error. So again, it goes back again, and then the code reviewer sends it. Okay, you get the idea. It goes through the whole process. What's fun is that it even created documentation in the process. Again, it's well thought out, right? There's I'll show you towards the end. It goes through this iteration. Programmer is fixing, reviewer is reviewing. Again, it goes through the few iterations of that.
That's interesting.
Again, it has. I think they recently added a GitHub link to this as well. So I think that's interesting. I think it's making progress. I'm going to spare everyone from looking into every single detail of how the interactions. But rest assured, it did come up with a website that works. So I'm happy about that.
Okay.
So there is a counselor,
Counselor too.
right? I was not
They're
aware.
definitely employing a lot of people there in that little company.
Exactly. Um, so anyway, they finally, I think they shipped the product. And here is the manual, right? So it's a simple web application, installation, usage, project structure, how it's all done, and
Bullshit.
go run it,
It
right?
looks better than a lot of teams I work with, so that's awesome.
Um, yeah, so I did go to that, right? And this is the website it did. Very simple. Like I said, it's by no means anything close to a good developer job, right? There's no style. There's not. It's just a HTML page, right? But it does what it was
Mhm.
asked to do, right? If I am 17, it says sorry, right? If I am
So they're not
18,
allowed to see your OnlyFans page, Balaji, if you're less than 18.
exactly. So that's what it is. So now you're 18, you can. So um, I, again, if you ask me, Rajni, the there it's exciting to see this, but I was not fully, again, because being a programmer coder myself from the get-go. There are several projects I gave it. This was the very simple one. It finished even that with a bug. And it said
Mhm.
everything is shipped like a typical delivery schedule. Everything is shipped and ready to go, and then it breaks, and then you go back and yell at. Now I can't even yell at people. Now it's just automated agents. Um,
Oh,
but it didn't do
that's
a
awesome.
good job on a game. I gave it a Pac-Man game. It didn't do a good job. I gave do the bricks game. These are like legacy games that it should be able to find code
Mhm.
and figure out how to do it. Um, but not impressed there. But the agents are there. You can tweak it if you know what you're doing. So it's fun.
That is cool because I know we talked about it. There's just along a thesis of different agents interacting with each other. It looks like you can build your own companies, right? Like if you really like, let's just fast forward this. Right now, it's not there. Like if you fast forward this and the agents, the CTO gets more smarter, or the CEO gets better, the programmer get better. What I mean by that is that the programmer, to your point, right, can now talk to a gaming agent that can give you some feedback on this is how you build a bricks game, and then the person will build it, right? I can
Absolutely.
see all this happening where you just have an idea and you can create a working prototype MVP using just virtual agents, and of course you're gonna have to pay them for it, but you never have to get a human, maybe a human to review it, but just the possibility of that happening, just it's exciting for me, right? So I know this
That's
almost feel gimmicky at this point, but it's not. It's really happening.
It's not. I think if you again, a lot of these things are giving you a good starting point, because if you look at the GitHub, you can go. They explain how you can go tweak every one of these agents, right? So again, it's ready for you to customize and make it your own. That's what we should do. I think we should start continuing along this path, and eventually this is how it's progressing, right? It may not do everything, but it's going to give you a very good starting point. And it all depends on, again, my requirement was very crappy too, right? I just gave a one liner, right, without telling exactly. That's not how typically the job is done, right? But it's fun. Even with one liner, certain things were good, certain things were bad. So,
But imagine being able to, like, now we go back to the vision piece of it, right? You take a website that you like, and you say, hey, can you mimic a website created with this similar layout for my
that's the most
company?
common,
With
yeah,
Union?
right.
Yeah,
So
I can
imagine
see
this
people
combining
doing
with
it.
the ChatGPT picture, looking into the picture thing, right? You can basically say, take this picture, break it down into visual components, and give it to the coder. Say, this is typically done in a lot of Fiverr jobs, or all these jobs, right? People
Just
point to
change the
website.
color. Just change the colors. Be good.
Exactly. Scrape the website, change the style, right? And there you go. You had a new website, which looks exactly, yeah.
So even the vision is just image, right? But at the end of the day, every video is a bunch of still images. So you can almost give it a video at some point of a working bricks game and say, hey, this is how things need to move. So I can see I'm going to say in another 6 months, but I'm pretty sure in another 6 weeks, it will be significantly more advanced than where we are right now.
One other thing I forgot to mention, they even at this stage they have added a human agent. You can insert human agent
Okay.
into the pipeline with that ChatDev. So again, it's clearly everybody knows it's not fully functional by itself. So you can freely insert yourself into this agent, whatever workflow,
Conversation. Okay.
right? And then start
Mhm.
tweaking things as things progress. It'll wait for you because you're in the pipeline, right? Things
So a
get pushed to
natural
you.
language, we have just like you found an issue, right? You can say, hey, by the way, let me stop you right there and give some feedback.
Correct. You can be a
And
human
we'll
code
continue.
reviewer.
Oh, wow.
Think about it, right? You can be a human code reviewer, say, hey, this template folder is missing, go add it. And the moment you say that, I've seen this many times, even with interacting with ChatGPT coding capabilities, right? It'll come up with something and I know there's something missing and say, hey, what about that? And oh, I missed that, sorry, right? This type of things can happen with human in the loop, right? It's very
Right.
interesting.
It is. I know we have a couple of other topics we're going to save it for next time. Uh, I've been playing around with Inflection AI's chatbot. It is it's funny, but it's also I think it would be useful. Again, I think it's very early beta stage right now, so it's going to get better. So I'm going to
Is
come
that a
back with
virtual
those.
companion chatbot type of a thing? What's again? I come across this name first time,
It's
so
this is what it says, right? It's basically saying I could be a friend. You could talk to me about anything, or you could talk to me about business. Like basically what we talked about, right? Almost having a companion, super smart companion, and you can talk about anything, right? I'm trying to get it to see if it can give me like a daily breaking news in the AI space. Can you make lists for me? Just really give it like a to-do list and see if it can work. So the
virtual
interaction has
assistant,
been
AI
making,
assistant, go do stuff.
yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah, and if it works, that will be like the best thing for me because there's so many research things I can assign. So far, it's been more of a just like a developer. It hasn't said no to anything, but it hasn't delivered on most of the things. So it just
That's
next
funny.
time maybe
So
we can send some
it's trained on
screenshots of a
excuses. You're
conversation.
saying it's trained on
I know
excuses.
it is. It is. But the thing is, really super nice about it. I wish I could tell you. It basically says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. You'll be ready in an hour. There's a lot of things that needs to happen. Ask, do you automatically do this? Like, oh no, I do some automatic, some manual, but I'll have it ready for you in an hour. It's been 48 hours, right? So every time I went back to it and say, hey, it's been more than an hour, it's like, oh, thank you for reminding me. We're still working on it. I will deliver. So that's the funniest part is it has not told me it can do it 40 hour 8 hours later is still telling me I'm gonna have it
Still
ready in a
working on
Google
it.
Docs. I will send it to you. And I'm
I
like,
think
you know
I
what?
think
You're
it
the most
outsourced it in a
optimistic
mechanical
person.
Turk, waiting for people to do the job.
I think so. I mean, it's still free, so I'm just gonna play. I'll come back and report on that because it is one of the coolest interactions I've had with the thing that with the agent that won't say no, but it's not delivering, but it's super nice about the whole interaction. So
That's funny.
I'll have to give
That's
it A+ for communication and a D- for actual delivery. So let's see.
actual
But again, I
delivery.
haven't asked. When you have regular conversation, it's okay. But when you go down to the to-do list is when it's failing. So that's what I'm pushing on a little bit more. I'm trying to see if it can retain conversations from 2 days ago. All that will take time, right? But so far, it's just been a fun interaction. We'll definitely talk about more next time.
Absolutely.
All right, guys.
All
With
right.
that, we'd like to wrap up today. And there's, again, tons of topics in our pipeline that we want to talk about. We'll bring you more interactive, demos that Balaji does. But if you guys have some use cases that you're wondering, where do I start? Because a lot of the entrepreneurs we talk to, small business we talk to, they all want to do something with AI, right? Because you don't want to be left behind. But everybody's struggling with where do I start? Is it data? Is it like do I have to have a whole roadmap? And that's where we're helping a lot of our friends and our network with that. So if you guys have a question, have a use case, a problem, you don't know where to start, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about it.
All right. Cool. Thanks, Rajni. Um,
All right.
and
Thanks,
we'll meet
everybody.
again next week. Bye.
All right. Sounds good.